So this is I'm missing a lot of pages out of this. I don't know why. It skips from it skips from my last entry, or it skips from an entry of, well, it's a long entry, June 22nd to July 7th. So let's see, written at 1328. Yeah. Just about a week until my birthday. I'll be turning 21 on the Cape Greig. That was exciting. Not really. And I think the cooks are going to make a cake. They did not. But they made cake every day, so that was cool. I wanted to write for a while, but the last thing I have time for after working for 16-hour shifts is exactly one meal, maybe a shower, and mandatory removal of my work clothes before I go to sleep. And sleep is priceless. Oh, and always a cigarette break. That's required. The first few days of work, I was spooning. And as weird as that sounds, that was my job on the butcher deck. Spooning, like I said, take the spoon, get all the blood out. Yeah, usually you just want to do it in one stroke. Basically, scooping out the blood along the salmon's spine and out the trachea. I am going to rub my ego. I am the unofficial best spooner under the crew boss Elvis. We had multiple crew bosses. One was Elvis, and he was the crew boss on the butcher deck, as well as this guy Tony, who was the crew boss of the other shift of people on the butcher deck. So let's see. I did other jobs too. We all did. I did bloodline, which is using a fillet knife to make a slit through the membrane that covers the blood along the spine, and that goes over to the spooner and you scoop it out. I picked this one up quickly. I am good at it. Well, I'm pretty decent, actually. Not as good as I think I am. Vacuum, I hate that one. It's basically it's at the end of the processing line, and you vacuum out every little bit of whatever's in there. Wow, that really made a difference. Anyway, so I did well on the butcher deck, but I didn't like it. You know, and this is how I got down into the freezer deck. You know, I almost quit because I didn't like it at all. I kept telling the bosses I wanted work down in the lower deck on the freezer crew. And, you know, I actually had to switch with another person who wanted to be on the butcher deck because they didn't like the freezer crew or their job. You know, and yeah, you know, I almost quit. Yeah, and it was going to be really bad because I had to accept that either I was going to get skiffed over to Yagashik, and then that was it. I literally had to mentally prepare myself to be homeless in Alaska in winter. So I was just like, all right, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Survival mode. You know, and I almost pussed out. Wow. I probably shouldn't say that. I almost cowered out, you know. And they ended up taking people and putting them on the Seabird because a lot of people did quit. You know, I wasn't the only one who wanted to. I didn't quit, but I had to beg to get my job back. I had to figure out how I was going to get my job back. So, yeah. That's my bad. So, you know, I had to switch with someone, and now since working on the freezer deck, they had me work half the jobs, and you know, like how I did on the butcher deck, where I did filleting. I didn't do gut pulling. I wouldn't want to do that, but I did a lot of jobs down there. I'm not really good at taping. How taping works: pick up a 50-pound bag of fish, fold flaps in and over, and then tape and drop the bag. Picking it up isn't hard. It's the actual taping. The tape will stick to itself, and besides, the tape tool screws up a lot, and about every 5 to 15 bags, that was pretty much my inability to use the taping device. And I had to fix it while everyone was waiting on me, and it created lots of frustration. So anyway, I also did stacking, where you load the bags on a pallet and then prep them to be received by crane. That one is hard labor because you're constantly picking up 50-pound bags of fish and you're stacking them in a particular pattern in a way that fits so they don't fall over, so that when the crane lifts it, it doesn't put everyone else in danger, which can be really, I mean, who wants like at least a ton of fish to fall in their work area on top of them, over them? No one. So anyway, panning, that was my favorite down there. Fish are sorted, or they were sorted by quality and size and put into color categories: red, blue, orange, yellow, and black. Also green. The panners have to fit between 49 pounds and 51 pounds of fish into every pan and send it down the conveyor belt. Basically, rinse and repeat. What I mainly do now is something a little harder than most. Yes, I'm not rubbing my ego on that because it is a difficult job. It's called freezer plates. What I do is stand around and chill around the 8-plate freezers. Imagine a freezer, right? And this is what I wrote down. A single freezer fits, it's 14 plates. It's called a plate freezer. And 14 plates operated on a hydraulic lift. There are 12 spaces available to put and insert the pans of fish. Now these are the spaces in between the 14 plates. Each space can fit 9 fish, or I'm sorry, 9 pans of fish. 6 inserted vertically, 3 horizontally. Each freezer holds 108 pans of fish. My job is to fill all those spaces on each freezer, which there are 8 freezers total with down in the freezer deck. And each single pan of fish weighs on an average 50 pounds. So, 50 pounds times 100, 5,000 pounds. And then the other 8 spaces, 400 pounds. So every day I had to fill 8 of those freezers at least, or more, maybe 12 to 13. Those are just on busy days. Some days were slower, but it really just depended on what fish we got and when we got them. And like I said, the fish determine your work. They're the bosses, not you, it's just complicated. So after the freezer unfreezes, usually I get to fill them back up eventually. You know, you have to fill freezers in a certain order. You can't just go to whatever one you want. You have to do them in a manner that balances the boat, because if you do it off balance, you're going to unbalance the boat, and it actually kind of messes with the equipment, and everyone's just kind of standing off to the side, and it's kind of weird, but it makes sense. I mean, because each freezer fits about 5,400 pounds of fish. And if on one side of the boat you have, on one side of the vessel you have 2 freezers full, and then on the other side you have 4 full, it's really going to put things off. It actually messes with the gas too, and the electricity, and just kind of messes with everything, so you have to do it right. So anyway, let me continue. So each freezer I fill is equal to 2.5 tons of fish that I have to pick up and lift by hand. So on a busy day, I will pick up and lift about, I might have overstated this, 40 tons of fish, but that's not too far from the truth. That's just more of an estimation. I'm going to get buff. Overstatement. Let's see. Besides the work policies, this boat is full of drama. Yeah, 5 people at this point through my stay and duration there had quit. If you quit, you get sent over to Yugashik on the skiff, and I had almost quit, like I said. So I was almost one of those people. And then you get flown to King Salmon. You know, and you actually, depending on how you get how you quit, if you quit, then you actually have to pay for your ticket to get flown to King Salmon, which is like at least $800. If you're fired, then they'll just send you to Gashik. They'll pay for your ticket to get flown to King Salmon, and then everything else is out of your pocket. So you don't want to quit or get fired. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. I'll have to finish that in the next video.